The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 23.
Shalom, we're back.
And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation, which I cast out before you.
So we're not supposed to walk in the manners of the other nations, the behaviors of the other nations, the aspects of the other nations. All right? Because the Most High gave you away. He gave you food. He gave you a certain diet. He gave you everything for you to be separate unto him. So you look nothing like those other nations. All right? Even though you call each other black, you call the Africans black and you call this black, there's a complete distinction between them and you. It's clear as day. All right? Even the way they treated you, they hated you openly. All right? The Most High separated you like that far. Keep going, please.
The book of Leviticus 20 and verse 23. And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation which I cast out before you. For they committed all these things.
For they what?
For they committed all these things.
No, they love the Most High.
For they committed all these things.
They did what the Most High told them
For
to do.
they committed all these things.
Keep going.
And therefore I abhorred them.
And he what?
I abhorred them.
The Most High loves your white friend.
I abhorred them.
He loves your Indian friend.
I abhorred them.
He loves your Chinese friend.
I abhorred them.
Your white wife.
I abhorred them.
Your Chinese husband.
I abhorred them.
He abhorred them. All right? The Most High abhorred these other nations for doing what they do, for not listening to the Most High. All right? The Most High, the laws were all around. They even had our Bible. All right? They had our Bible for the longest. They knew how to treat you for the longest, and they decided not to. All right? So the Most High abhorred them. Keep going.
And verse 24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit the land, and I will give it unto you to possess it.
So here's the thing, right? The Most High didn't say that you're going to go into the land and mix with them. He said that you're going to possess their land, which means it's going to be your laws over them, your ways over them. You're going to possess them. That does not mean you're going to sing together, you're going to dance together. All right? That doesn't mean that Martin Luther King doctrine, I have a dream that, that we're all going to get together, we're going to sing songs, and a white child is going to get together with a black child. No. That means you're going to possess them. That means that your laws are going to be supreme over them, and they will not have their own way. They'll be following you. All right? In fact, let me get that.
There's some more, officer. Therefore I abhorred them, verse 24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit the land. I will give it, and I will give it unto you to possess it. A land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Most High, your power, which have separated you. Which have separated you.
So the Most High said himself that he separated you from the other nations.
Which have separated you.
Come on, keep going.
From other people.
From the other people. But you had leaders of ours that said that we should be getting together with these other nations. All right? Let me get Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 25. Because this is also in the scriptures. Everything in our lives is in the scriptures. Every way that's wrong and every way that's right is in the scriptures.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 25. I have heard what the prophets said.
So the Most High said he heard what the prophets say. The people who were leaders of our people, who would speak for our people. Keep going.
That prophesy lies in my name.
So whatever comes after this is a lie. Keep going.
Saying, I have dreamed. I have dreamed.
He said what?
I have dreamed. I have dreamed.
Who does that sound like, Israel?
I have dreamed. I have dreamed.
I've dreamed. Who does that sound like? That's Martin Luther King. That's in the scriptures, right in front of you, Israel. So these same people will come and prophesy lies that we'll get together with these other nations, that will be with these other nations in harmony. But guess what? How long we been with the so-called white man? How long we been here and they still don't know how to treat us right? That should tell you there's something spiritually wrong with them. There's something mentally wrong with them to where they cannot stand, they can't configure their mind to do that for you. Even now, they don't even know how to love you. You think that we're finally turning tides just because they're getting a little bit lower and they're right where you are, and you might be coming up a little bit higher. All right? But notice, they still didn't tell you who you are. To love you is to tell you who you are and to show you who you are and to make you understand how to be you so you can live. All right? Let me get Let me get this real quick.
I got you.
Come on.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it. Verse 5.
So what's setting our faces against the so-called white man's government, the so-called white man's way, the place that all people are clinging on to? In fact, I got a precept for that as well. Keep going.
Verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel.
No, they loved us.
And hast shed the blood of the children of Israel.
Notice it said that they had a perpetual hatred.
There's a question in the chat too.
Gone. That's Khalifa Ali Bey. What happens if the Gentiles believe in you and respect you're strong in your form of peace? As in, I am listening, invite and separate. Gone. The Babylonian, the say-so white people, if they believe in us, that's fine. They're supposed to believe in us. All right? There's going to come a time where they're going to admit that we're Israel. They're going to want us to be Israel. They're going to want to cling on to us because we're going to be the only salvation they can see with their eyes. Because they're going to know the only way out of this is slavery. That is the only salvation that they're going to have. They're not going to be with us in the kingdom. It's either going to be slavery or death. If they want to live, they got to serve. Because they've been living already. Con. So it's their position to serve. All right? Con. Amen. Now, what you have?
The book of I have Zechariah chapter 8 verse 23. The book of Zechariah chapter 8
Come.
and verse 23. Thus saith the Lord of the power of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all languages of the nations.
Wait, read that one more time.
The book of Zechariah chapter 8 and verse 23. Thus saith the power of hosts, in those days,
keep going.
it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold.
So 10 men. But which 10 men? Keep going.
Shall take hold.
Shall take hold.
Out of all languages of the nations.
Out of all languages of the what?
Of the nations.
So all the other nations, out of all languages of the other nations, they're going to be clinging on to. Keep going.
Even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew.
Even take hold of who?
Of the skirt of him that is a Jew.
An Israelite.
That is a Jew.
That is a Jew, an Israelite. So they're going to be clinging onto us for salvation.
That is a Jew.
Because guess what? When everything's said and done, their only blessing is us.
That is a Jew.
Con.
Saying, we will go with you.
We will go with you.
For we have heard that the Most High is with you.
Exactly. Because they're going to be, listen, when everything goes down in America, they're going to be looking for God. They're not going to be looking to their own powers. Their power is going to run out of power.
The same way when we left Egypt, some other nations left with us. So basically, we are the light of the world. Sorry, go ahead, officer.
Con. That's why we have that mixed multitude.
Yeah, we are the salt of the earth. So every nation always want to cleave unto us.
Con.
One way or another. Even in our body state, you can see that oftentimes Edomites in their cause, they are listening to some nonsense rap.
Exactly.
Even in our body state.
Exactly. So even in Egypt, back when we were coming out of Egypt, remember we spoiled the Egyptians. The Most High had it like that they gave us all the possession, their precious possessions when we were coming out. All right? They're gonna give to us, they're gonna cling on to us, they're gonna realize who we are. All right? We're going to be the only salvation that's going to be before their eyes like that. But right now, it's the opposite.
Kalibi has a second comment. He says, I get your farm up. Let's get Jeremiah.
Hey, we Benjamites know. We be getting our farm up. Don't worry, y'all. Israel is into agriculture. We've always been about agriculture. So, And after that, let me get 2 Maccabees chapter 15, verse. Actually. Yeah.
What, 2 Maccabees?
2 Maccabees chapter 15. No, 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 15.
The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15. Not setting by the honors of the fathers, but liking the glory. What do you think if I start at 14? Officer?
Go ahead.
Now the priests had no courage to serve anymore at the altar. But despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise, after the game of discourse, called them forth. Verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
So this is something that's wrong mentally in our people. My people are from Jamaica and the Bahamas, and Yakanan's people is from Haiti, We know how far we put white people ahead of us, all right? Even though we're supposed to be ahead of the white people, all right? These so-called white people, all right? But we put the ways ahead of us, and we let them in our houses. We let them in our minds. That's how it all started, how we started accepting them. All right, because back in the days when we were slaves, when the white slave master took one of our women, and the child came about, we knew whose child that was. We knew the kind of access that child would have because of his father. All right, that's how it all started. When we let them in our minds, like they're okay. This is how we give way to certain things, like those children. Because according to the law, that's not our people. Let me get Numbers chapter 1, verse 18.
The book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees.
They declared the what?
They declared their pedigrees.
Gone.
After their families, by the house of their fathers.
No, the mothers.
By the house of their fathers.
If your mother's a Jew, you're a Jew.
By the house of their fathers.
You see how the so-called Jewish got that mixed up? According to the law, it is by the house of your father. Your father brings the seed, and you are whatever your father is. All right? If you put an apple seed in China, it's not going to turn into a Chinese tree, a Chinese apple seed. It's just going to be an apple seed. It's going to be an apple tree. All right? That apple is still going to be an apple. The kind of nutrients that's going into that tree may be a little bit different. It may look a little bit different, but it's still going to be an apple. You can see that clearly. All right? In fact, read that one more time.
The book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers.
By the house of their fathers. Which means that if your mother's black and your father's white, guess what? You're white. All right? You're a so-called Edomite. If your mother's black, so-called black, and your father's Indian, you're so-called Indian. If your mother's black and your father's Chinese, guess what? You're so-called Chinese. That's just how it is. That's how the Most High made it. All right? So you may be black in everybody else's eyes, but you're not Israel.
Gone.
You will never be Israel. There is no indoctrinating into Israel. Okay? And that's something that our people have to get straight. All right? So let's go over some people who aren't Israel. Since I'm Benjamin, let's go over Bob Marley real quick. Guess what? Bob Marley's father is white. He's an Edomite. All right? And I know my so-called Jamaicans love him so much. Even the white people over here in America love him so much. But guess what? He's white. He's not Israel. He's black though. He gets that card because you give him that card. All right? So he gets to come into your house just because the music he made. And just because he smoke up ganja and all that. But guess what? He's a so-called white man. All right, so if he was alive today and Amasha came back today, guess what? He's not coming with us like that. He's not going to be in the kingdom like that. All right? And I hope that makes the so-called Rastafari very angry because I want you to think about it. Okay? I want you to think about all the people that you let around you in your lives that don't have actual Israelite fathers. Because according to the law, they're not your people. All right? Let me get Daniel chapter 9, verse 7.
The book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 7. O Most High, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces.
Confusion of what?
Confusion of faces.
Confusion of faces. What does that mean? Confusion of faces is when you can't tell who's right there in front of you. When you can't tell the person right in front of you is either an Edomite or Jacob. That's confusion of faces. You're confused because you see all these people mixed up right in front of you and you call them all black. That's how you dealt with confusion of faces. You called everybody black. You called the Africans black, even though they hated you. And they told you that you're not them. And you still cling on to them and call everybody black. You got to define yourself. You got to have more pride about yourself, Israel. If you're really black-centric, if you're really Afro-centric, if you're really for who you are, then you got to be about who you are according to the scriptures. Because the scriptures will let you know exactly who you are and show you how to be you. It will define who's not you and who are your enemies. All right? Let me get Ezekiel 22. In fact, no, let me get Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. This is exactly what happens to us when we mix with all the other nations. Because the Most High, remember, the Most High separated us from the other nations.
The book of Hosea, chapter 7 and verse 8. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people.
Now, Ephraim, that's the so-called Hispanics and Latin Americans. That's all brothers. That's all people. You're supposed to visually be able to see that. You should be able to say, yeah, that's my people. No one should have to teach you that. You should be able to see that. But what happened?
Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people.
He had what?
He hath mixed himself among the people.
Ephraim, he mixed himself among the people. And what happened?
Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So what does that mean when he's a cake not turned? Like a pancake. All right, when you don't turn the pancake, when you do turn the pancake, it becomes like this on top. But when you don't, you just let it sit on one side, it's just like that. He's still our people, but he's lighter. All right? He lost his color because he was mixing with the people. And guess what? You also get that confusion because our people were always different colors. However, we had these colors as a people. Ephraim had this color. You know? But when you mix with the other nations, you lose this color. And then you lose your identity. You lose your name. You're giving up all your goods to the other nations when you mix with these other nations. That doesn't work, Israel. What do you have?
Verse 10. And the pride of Israel testifieth to his face, and they do not return to the Most High, their power, nor seek him for all this.
So this is what happens. We go too in depth when we start mixing with these people like that, when we start having sex with these other nations, when we start inviting them into our homes like that, we lose sight of the Most High, who's going to chastise us, who's going to kill us for doing those type of things. But you lose that in your mind when you mix with the other nations. That's what sin does to you. All right? Now you have a bunch of other people. You have what? You have Lenny Kravitz. You have Tia Mari. You have Bob Marley. All these people that are not you walking amongst you, calling themselves black and for your cause, but getting all the access that you can't get. Because guess what? The so-called white man knows that that's not your people. All right, you got to pay attention, Israel, what kind of lives these people actually live. Even Kamala Harris, she's not our people, but she's black. You got to let us suck up all the goods of the nation of our father. All right? Don't give all of us to the other nations.
That's right.
They don't deserve any of what we have. All right? They left you on the ground. No one came to pick you up, Israel. No one came to pick you up. No one came to give you reparations. No one had pity upon you. That's even in scriptures. The Most High is like, who's gonna have pity upon you? No one had pity upon you. No one wanted to tell you who you were. They wanted to continue calling you black, colored, and everything under the sun, but they didn't want you to be you. All right? So it's time that we expose who these other people are so we don't give them the honor that we're supposed to have. Because in the end, guess what? Let me get Matthew chapter 13. In the end, the Most High knows exactly who's coming with him.
The book of Matthew, chapter 13. What verse, officer? What verse?
Tares. Wheat and the tares. Matthew 13.
Matthew chapter 13, verse...
You start on 1. You start on 1.
Verse 1. The same day went Hamashiach out of the house and sat by the sea. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat. And the whole multitude stood on the shore.
Gone.
And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth.
Gone.
And when the sun was up, they were scorched.
So this is the parable of the seeds. All right, go down to 24.
Verse 24. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field.
So there's a good seed. So now Yahushua is defining a good seed. Okay? Keep going.
But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat.
So he was sowing, the good man was sowing wheat. All right? But while the enemy slept, while men slept,
the enemy came and sow tares
And
among the wheat.
and sow tares among the wheat. Now, if you ever look at a tare, they don't look exactly like wheat. From afar, they look just like wheat, but when you come up, tares have different patterns on them that are not like the wheat. All right? They look like wheat from afar. They look like the same kind of species of plant, but when you come up close and you examine them, they are not the same. Keep going.
Verse 25. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field?
It's like, yo, these people right here, aren't they all supposed to be Israel? You see, the good seed, the only good seed is Israel. All right? But those tares are the other nations. So those men are like, aren't these all supposed to be Israelites? Didn't you put Israelites here and here and here and here? This is all supposed to be Israel. Keep going.
From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this.
An enemy hath done this. Read that again.
An enemy, the book of Matthew chapter 13 verse 28. He said unto them, An enemy hath done this.
The so-called white man?
An enemy hath done this.
The so-called Indian man?
An enemy hath done this.
The so-called Chinese man?
An enemy hath done this.
All the other nations are our enemies. All right? So what it's saying is that all the other nations, their men slept with our women and brought about people that looked like us, that weren't us. Those are the tares that we see, that we can see from far, and they look like our people. They may have the same shade. You know, as we say that our genes are dominant. They may have the same shade. They may have the same nose. But when you come up and then you examine them, you know from their father that they are not you. You know from the ways that they are not you. Because remember, in the womb, Esau had a different manner about him, which means another behavior. You knew from that behavior that he was not you. All right? Keep going.
Verse 29. Verse 28. He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Will it thou then that we go and gather them up?
So the servant is saying, okay, should we just go get them right now?
But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye would up also the wheat with them.
Why? Because all people kept on clinging onto things that weren't us. So when it got that hard, when the lines were being blurred like that, now if we try to take your passing black wife from you, if we try to take your passing black husband from you, you're gonna step out the truth too. You're not gonna receive the truth. Because the person that you were joined onto that you joined onto was not Israel. And the Most High defines that He separated you from that person. He separated you from that nation. So what happens if we try to separate you from that person? You're going to separate from the truth. You're going to separate from the Most High. But what do we do after that? What's y'all going to do?
29. Verse 30. Let both grow together until the harvest.
So you're going to live together until the harvest, until the last day, until the great day of the Most High. Keep going.
And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bite them in bundles.
So you're going to live. What's going to happen is you're going to live with the lie.
And bite them in bundles.
And then that person who's not Israel is going to be taken away from you.
And bind them in bundles.
Because remember, the Most High is a jealous power.
And bind them in bundles.
Keep going.
To burn them.
To what?
To burn them.
To take them with you into the
to
kingdom.
burn them.
To burn them. Keep going.
But gather the wheat into my barn.
But gather the wheat into his barn. All right. So the Most High is going to define who Israel is in the last days. All right. Even if you can't get it now, even if you can't accept it now, the Most High is going to show you exactly who is Israel, because you can't make that distinction, because you don't want to make that distinction, because that's too hard for you. The Most High is going to help you. All right. That person that's not actually bloodline Israel is going to be taken away from you, because guess what? They're not going to be put in the kingdom with you. Just because their mother was a Judite does not mean that they're going through the gate of Judah. Just because their mother was a Levite does not mean that they're going to go through the gate of Levi. Their mother might have been Dominican, might have been Simeon, but it does not mean that they're going to be going through the gate of Simeon with you.
Also, officer, online there is a movement called swirling or divesting. Somehow, some of these sisters, they have in their mind that the offspring that they have with the so-called white men or the so-called Spaniard, they think that the child is an Israelite. Somehow they have this nonsense in their mind.
They do that just for the characteristics of that child. Because they say they want a child with light eyes, with light skin, with curly hair.
Good hair, yeah, that nonsense, yeah.
You know what? The Most High actually did. The Most High did leave you in captivity so that some of our people that are actually Israel, who did mix, would inherit those characteristics. Because now, guess what? Even Israel has those characteristics, so you have no excuse. There are Israelites out there with the characteristics that you want, so you have no excuse now. You know, that's what the Most High did.
Also, this also culminates into what many of us have, which is we have a complex of inferiority.
Yeah.
Saying that good hair, that's nonsense,
Good hair. The dog hair.
Yeah,
you're talking about the straight hair, the stringy hair.
Basically, how pretty much we even hate our features. Let's see what God says in the book of First Peter chapter 2 and verse 9.
Gun. So you gotta learn to love being Israel. You gotta learn to love being the children of the Most High. Because a lot of you people say that you're the children of God, but you don't love yourself like the children of God. You don't keep the Sabbath like the children of God. You don't keep the holy days like the children of God. You don't seek to be the children of God.
I got you right. The book of First Peter chapter 2 and verse 9. But ye are a chosen generation.
But you are what?
A chosen generation.
The Most High chose you.
A chosen generation.
Keep going.
A royal priesthood.
A royal what?
A royal priesthood.
You're a royal priesthood to the Most High God. Keep going.
And holy nation. A peculiar people.
A holy nation. A separate nation. A peculiar people. There's no one like you. There's no one like you on the earth. Everybody wants to be you, but you. Keep going.
That ye should shew forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light.
So guess what? The Most High made you so you can serve him exactly.
Chief is online. Let's salute Chief.
Barak.
Shalom, Elder Chief. Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, Chief.
Yeah, good. Basically, if we are a chosen generation, there is no need for us to hate our features.
Exactly. The Most High chose you and chose those features.
Yep.
O children of the Most High. The Most High chose those features that you hate so much.
Yep. Yeah, to the point that you see that in the Caribbean, many of our people, what they do, you see men and women doing that. What they do, they lighten their skin. Bleaching their skin to the point that they even have soap. Brothers and sisters are they will fight each other to get that soap arc.
They will fight each other to look sick.
Yeah, to look sick. Yep.
They look sick. It's not right for you to look that color. The Most High didn't make you for your frame to look that light and look healthy.
You see the boy like that's a Sammy Sosa. The boy that was
Vibes
dark
Cartel.
skinned, and before you know it, the boy that was light. Listen, we are listen, brother. When the Bible says that Israel, we have no sense. God pretty much compares us to people with no understanding. We have no understanding.
God, you don't understand what beauty is.
Yeah.
The Most High defined beauty as well.
I got you.
The Most High is beauty.
The book of Psalm, chapter 50, and verse 2. I'll start at verse 1.
God.
The mighty power, even the Most High, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof.
God.
Out of Zion.
Out of who?
Out of Zion.
Out of Zion.
The perfection of beauty.
Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty. The Most High made sure that you're the most beautiful people on earth. All right? You have no need to seek for the other nations. You got everything.
Yeah.
And if you didn't think you ain't got everything now, guess what? If you didn't think you ain't got everything before, guess what? You got it now because you mixed up. You're really a speckled bird now.
Yep.
The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you have all successfully made yourself a real speckled bird in front of your eyes. We don't need to explain that. All right? So Israel, what do you think? What makes Tia Mowry our people? What makes Camilla Harris our people? You know? What makes Bob Marley our people? Because according to the scriptures, they have to be according to the house of their fathers. If their father is in Israel, they're not Israel. So what in your mind makes you think that they're our people? What in your mind makes them think that they're coming into the kingdom with us? Can they just be around us, inherit our blackness, and be us? Is that the logic that we're going to use? So let us know. All right? We'll be right back.
You have fringes on?
Go on. Put fringes on real quick.
Yeah. Israel, if you have it, we would like to listen to people we would like to get questions from people who are against what we are teaching. What we are teaching is that you look good the way you are. Why are you trying to imitate the other nations? Why are you trying to emulate the other nations? We are God's chosen people. The Bible says, out of Zion, the perfection of beauty.
Exactly.
People that are not Israel, you want to make them Israel.
Exactly.
People that are not Israel, somehow you are twisting scriptures to bring them forth as part of Judah. Don't be amazed if you see a so-called white man with a fringe shirt in Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Because now now once people see us with the fringes, they already know who we are. The fringes that play it. Make sure we share our screen out.
No, keep going.
The fringes is part of our ceremonial law. So now many of our people, they want to put fringes on the other nations as well right now. They are not slaves yet. Go ahead, Doc.
Gone.
Yeah, we will open the line. The number to call is 754-367-4052. We would like to hear from you. Those of you who would like to make Brandon, Brian Israelites, please call us. Let us know why and how you're going to make them Israelites. We would like to hear from you. In fact, the line will be open. 754-366-4052. Let us know how you will take Tia, was it Tia Mori?
Tira Mori.
Yeah, Tia Mori. How you will take Bob Marley with you in the kingdom?
Let us know how you're going to explain that to the Most.
Yeah, we would like to know how you will do that. Play fringes, officer.
God.
Give them something they can dance to. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without them. Now sing along. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Always got my friends on with my Z. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Cause I never leave home without my friends on. Yeah, never leave home without my friends on. And book the numbers 15 and 38 shown. Generation, when you got them on, you set apart from these other nations. Gotta let your light shine, let them know it's on. When the 1/3 awaken, we'll be going home. Got all my friends with my Z's and they hanging long. When I run into my Aki, I'm there hollering shalom. Never leave home without my friends on. If I go and hit the mall, I got my friends on. Even if I'm going to a ball, I got my friends on. With the border blue ribbon and the all white linen on. And I don't feel right if I ain't got them on. Like a pair of shoes, there's no excuse to leave them home. So you never catch me out without my friends on. Cause we the church, got them on my garment and on every shirt. Yeah, never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without them. I sing along. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Always got my friends on with my Z. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Cause I never leave home without my friends on. Yeah, my friends, I be rocking, I be stopping, never stopping, really rocking. Why you acting out of pocket? Why you gotta do that? Keep commandments easy peasy, it ain't greedy. Keep it flowing like some gravy, do the work. I ain't lazy, keep commandments, understanding, never slacking. You'll never ever catch me with the ox. Always giving my praises to Holy Father. Catch me in the streets with my fringes on. Yeah. Never leave home without my fringes on. Never leave home without my fringes on. Never leave home without my fringes on. Never leave home without them. Now sing along. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Always got my fringes on with my Z. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Cause I never leave home without my fringes on. Yeah, never leave home without my fringes. You won't never catch me lacking cause I'm always representing. Got fake Jews all up in their feelings. Yeah, I see you staring at me. That suggestion like you've been so nevertheless. Why I touch my lips? So if you eat pork, baby, you can never get some more food. Say how it don't exist. Man, this word like a source from your soul, from your spirit. She ain't keeping all the laws, don't you hear my phone? I ain't Rodney King, I don't wanna get along. I done told the slave master I ain't working on the Sabbath. When soul friends is all up on my uniform. Cry loud, spit not wisdom with the knowledge. I can't sugarcoat it for you, I ain't Willy Wonka. Drip so hard, baby, this that holy water. And this qualm, y'all should roll it till we hit the coffin. Ooh. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without my friends on. Never leave home without them. Now sing along. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Always got my friends on with my Z. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Cause I never leave home without my friends on. Yeah. Give them something they can dance to.
God, shalom, Israel. We are back. God. So the number to call us is 754-366-4052. All right. If you have any gripe about your passing black friend, your passing your passing black friend, or your passing black husband, your passing black wife, your passing black uncle, that you love so much, give us a call. Let's discuss this. All right, because the laws right here, the books are open right now. The thus saith the Most High is on right now. Go.
Now is the time for us to be selfishness. To practice selfishness. Meaning that now is the time for us to concentrate more on getting ourselves right. Now is not the time for us to partake our power with any non-Israelite. Trying to twist scriptures to fit a so-called white woman that we want to have underneath our arm. Makes no sense, huh?
Exactly. You're taking that entire community with you and all that drama and all the ways on you. You don't have the resources to do that, Israel. You don't have the resources. You don't have the government to handle all of that. You're not in order yet. But when you are in order, you'll handle all the nations and their lands.
In their place. And they will be in their place.
And they will be in their place.
Yep. And let's see what their place is.
God.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 1. Now Israel, the number to call is 754-366-4052. Please call and show to us where and how you will take your Israelite passing friends, meaning that brothers and sisters that look Israel,
to the kingdom.
How will you take them to the kingdom with you to go through the gates?
Mm-hmm. You gonna put them in your luggage?
As Israelites. The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 1. Isaiah, the 14th chapter and the first verse. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob.
On who?
On Jacob.
He will have mercy on Jacob. Keep on.
And will yet choose Israel.
And choose who?
And will yet choose Israel.
My white friend.
And will yet choose Israel.
My Indian friend.
And will yet choose Israel.
The Russians.
And will yet choose Israel.
The Chinese.
And will yet choose Israel.
The Polynesians.
And will yet choose Israel.
I want to choose you.
And will yet choose Israel. And set them in their own land.
And set them in their own land. Notice every other nation can go back to their own land, Israel. But you. You are I keep on saying this, you are the only homeless people on earth.
Oh yeah, con.
You are the only, I'm going to say that again, you are the only homeless people on earth. You are the only people who don't know where you're from, but will choose everywhere else and call that home.
Yep.
What kind of mess is calling Africa your motherland, where you can't even settle everywhere in Africa? They won't let you. Explain that, Israel.
You see, this at one point, Haiti wanted to join the African Union. The Africans didn't want Haiti to be part of the African Union.
Khan.
Now, mind you, let's look at it. This also proves something to us that oftentimes how we, I am black here, we are into this African blackety nonsense. In the 1960s, when many African countries got their independence, a bunch of Haitians left Haiti to go to teach in Senegal, in all in Ivory Coast, in many of these countries, and they say no. Haiti couldn't be part of the African Union.
Oh, did you get a visa?
Well, basically, I have yet to know what the result is for now. But I know they were very reluctant to have Haiti for Haiti to join the African Union.
You remember in the 90s where they went over to Africa? When we said that we're Africans, and they went over to Africa, and they asked the Africans. And the Africans said blatantly, no.
Of course, yeah.
You're not us.
Yeah.
You are not us. They said that blatantly.
Of course, yeah.
And I know our Jamaicans love the Ethiopians. Because that's, how do you say, Selassie doctrine. When he said he's not the Messiah himself, he said he's not God himself, but you still worship himself. That's Israel right there.
Yeah.
In fact, let me get what is that? Zephaniah 2:12. Come on.
Yep.
Let's get that for the Rastafari real quick, since you love the Ethiopians so much. Let's see what the Most High think about the Ethiopians.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 12. Ye Ethiopians also,
Ye Ethiopians also
ye shall be slain.
shall be what?
Ye shall be slain
Keep going.
by my sword.
So the Most High said he's going to be slain by the Most High's sword. The Most High hates the Ethiopians, the ones who you love. All right? So make up whatever doctrine that you want. But if it don't fit the scripture, guess what? You don't have the answers to the real Lord at the end. All right? Let me get our Psalms. Was it Psalm 72?
Yep.
Come on.
The book of Psalm, chapter 72 and verse 18. Blessed be the most high power, the power of Khalifa Bey.
Read that again.
The book of Psalm, chapter 72 and verse 18. Blessed be the most high power,
The power.
the power of Israel,
The power of Khalifa Bey.
the power of Israel,
The power of Lion from Zion 777. Shalom, shalom.
the power of Israel,
The power of Chief Minister Shalama.
the power of Israel,
The power of Crowns on Browns.
the power of Israel,
The power of Yakana.
the power of Israel,
The power of all the Israelites on earth.
the power of Israel,
Who what?
who also all of them who are currently watching,
All of you are currently watching as well.
the power of Israel,
If you are Israel.
the power of Israel, who only doth wondrous things,
Who only doth wondrous things. Who made sure that you understood the confusion of faces. Who made sure that when you came over here, you did mix with everybody. So now every one of you has all the features you need. Shalom, shalom, Israel. We love you. We want you to come back to commandments. We want you to learn how to define being you. We want you to learn how to be able to make those differences in your mind.
Gone.
To separate clean from unclean. To separate you from that's what's not you. To separate the things that are helping you from the things that are killing you.
You know, officer, let us read Numbers 1 verse. In fact, let's read Numbers 1 verse 18 very quick.
Gone.
The book of Numbers, chapter 1 and verse 18.
So if you had to have any takeaway, let's go to the law. On
And
who's
they
people.
assembled together all the congregation on the first day of the second month.
Gone.
And they declared their pedigrees
And they declared their pedigrees, who they are.
after their families by the house of their fathers.
No, the so-called white man can define who you
By
are.
the house of the fathers.
No, you are what your mother is.
By the house of the fathers.
By the house of your father is what you are.
Also one more. Let's go
Go
to the book of Philippians. Now Paul now is showing that he is an Israelite in the book of Philippians. Let's go to the book of Philippians chapter 3 and verse 5.
Gone.
In fact, I'll start at verse 1. The book of Philippians chapter 3 and verse 1. Finally, my brethren, rejoice in the Most High to write the same things to you. To me indeed is not grievous, but for you it is safe. Verse 3. For we are the circumcision which worship the Most High in the Spirit, and rejoice in Hamashiach Yahushai,
Done.
and have no confidence in the flesh. Verse 5. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel,
Of the stock of Israel,
of the tribe of Benjamin.
Benjamin.
So basically, Benjamin was a son of Jacob. Jacob had 13 children. We don't have the tribe of Dinah, do we? So if we do not have the tribe of Dinah, that means you are what your father is.
Exactly.
You are an Israelite through the seed of your father, not your mother.
Exactly. So where's the tribe of Dinah?
Yep, the tribe of Dinah, yep.
Is nowhere to be
It's
found.
no, yeah, of course.
It's not even recollected in the Bible.
All right.
All right? So shalom, shalom, Israel. We love you, want you to come back to the knowledge of you so you can be powerful as you. All right? Come back and learn exactly who the Most High is and who you are. All right? Come on.
All right, officer, we have also the power of brother said Israel Abaya.
Shalom.
Shalom, my brother.
Shalom.
Psalm 133.
Psalms 133. Shayar,
Shaya,
Amaewa,
Ama'alwaf,
Ladawad,
Ladawad,
Hana,
Hana, Ma,
Tawab,
Tawab,
Wama,
Wama,
Nayam,
Nayam,
Shabbath,
Shabbath,
Akyam,
Akyam,
Gam,
Gum,
Yachad,
Yachad,
Kashaman,
Kashaman,
Hatawab,
Hatawab,
Ail,
Ail,
Haraash,
Haraash,
Yarad,
Yarad,
Ail,
Ail,
Azakwan,
Azakwan,
Zakwan,
Zakwan,
Aaron,
Aharon,
Shayarad,
Shayarad,
Ail,
Ail,
Paya,
Paya,
Madawathua,
Madawathiwa,
Katol,
Katol,
Karamwan,
Karamwan,
Shayarad,
Shayarad,
Ail,
Ail,
Arya,
Araya,
Tazayawan,
Tazayawan,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Shem,
Sham,
Tazawa,
Tazawa,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Ath,
Ath,
Habraka,
Habraka,
Kayam,
Kayayam,
Aid,
Aid,
Iwalam,
Iwulam,
Bahashem,
Bahashem,
Amashiach,
Amashiach,
Yahweh,
Yahawashai,
Tawada,
Thawada,
Thamyad,
Thamyad,
Aman.
Aman. The book of Psalm chapter 133. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that went down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Most High commended the blessing, even life forevermore. Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahawashai, Thawada, Thamyad, Aman.
Aman.
Heavenly Father, pray for brother Amawataza. He lost his grandmother.
God. Abba Yanao, Yahweh, Hashem, Hamashiach.
Louder.
Please, Most High. Please call Israel to remember themselves. Please cause healing upon Israel, Most High. Heal our minds, heal our spirits, Most High. For it is time that we come back. It is time that Jacob comes back to the remembrance of you, Most High. And please comfort Amawataza. As it says in Isaiah 66, verse 13. As one who his mother comforteth, so I will comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And as so, please comfort my brother, Most High. Ba'ashem, Hamashak Yahushua, Thawaratham Yad. Amen.
Shalom, shalom, Yahshua. All praises to our Mashiach. Know that we are your servants. We are here to serve you. For this ministry to move forth, we need your help. As much as you can, first pray for us. As you can see, Elos, the light of Zion is moving forward. We are not standing still, nor are we going backward. We are moving forward. We have the food pantry, that is the food drive, that is going strong. We have the camps, they are going strong. All praises to Yahweh Mashiach. They are out in the streets teaching the people. Please pray for us. We do need your help. We do need your prayers. Please pray for us. Secondly, as much as you can, or as less as you can, donate to this ministry. I would like you to see what your donations have been doing for the school. As you can see, we have new lights. All praises to Yahweh Mashiach, and all this thanks to you. Thanks to the Most High through Mashiach, and thanks to all your donation. Please, as much as you can, or as less as you can, donate to this ministry so we can have the fund to move forth to help the people, to gather the nation of Israel for the Most High through Mashiach by all means, by all lawful and legal means necessary. To donate to this ministry, please do so via Cash App. Our Cash App number, our Cash App information is $THEELOZ. $THEELOZ. First, know that your donation will be used to further the gospel. This is what we are about. This is what we are about at the Light of Zion. To further the gospel, to wake up the 12 tribes of Israel. Shalom Yahshua Allah. May the Most High through Mashiach bless you all.